everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking Movies with D, and that's me. And today is finally the day we've been waiting about 3 years for since they've been announced, and it's Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman follows the events of Man of Steel, where we get introduced to Ben Affleck's Batman as he deals with the aftermath that happened with Superman. All while the world is trying to decide if Superman is a hero or a villain. So, we're finally here. The day has come to where Batman v Superman is out. It's able for everybody to see. Been waiting 3 years since they announced it, right? So it's going to be a little different than normal because since there's been a movie that's been anticipated so long, and I think I've talked about it in other videos in the past. First, I'm going to kind of break down a couple of the main things people are worried about. The first thing being Ben Affleck is Batman. A matter of fact, I think the day before yesterday, I had to defend Ben Affleck. People were like, "Oh, the movie's gonna suck because Ben Affleck's bad actor." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Hey, have you guys not seen since he started directing? What was it The Town and Argo? I mean, Oscar-nominated movies. Like since then, his acting has just skyrocketed. Gone Girl, he was great in and stuff like that. So I had to say that and defend it, especially because they haven't even seen the movie yet. And now that I've seen the movie, I'm right. Ben Affleck is probably one of the best things about this movie. And as Batman, he's a darker Batman. He's a Batman who's been through it. He's older. He's seasoned. He's kind of fed up with the world and having to do things like whatever. So Ben Affleck was great. His lines were great and everything. The action with him was all good. The next thing that was real high on my list on the worry is Gal Gadot. You guys might know her from Fast and the Furious. I think it was was she in the last one? No, 5 and 6. I think that's the one she was in or whatever. But that and she was recently in District 9. Not District 9. What was that 9? Triple Nine. She was recently in that. And so she was kind of hard because she came from being a model and then being in all these. I think she was a Date Night too. A couple other movies that she barely is in and she's not really good in. It's like how's she gonna do as Wonder Woman, iconic Wonder Woman? How's she gonna do? Zack Snyder did a good job with her in the way he used her. Meaning, she's not great in the movie. She's good. Like watching it, you wouldn't like. She didn't pull me out of the movie and say, "Oh yeah, she was just terrible. I couldn't stand her." But she didn't have a lot to do. She didn't have a lot of lines, and the movie's not focused on her, which is it should be. It's Batman v Superman. But what she did was good enough to where it got me there, and I'm happy with what she did. And the action with her in it is great. So I can't complain about that. Next, we have Lex Luthor, and that's Lex Luthor, man. I feel the way about him I feel about the movie, and I'm like in the middle, but I don't know. Like I could go either way with it, really, because he's very for one, he's not Lex Luthor. He's Lex Luthor Jr. They put that out. They say that right at the beginning. He's the son of Lex Luthor, so he's definitely going to be different. So he's more of a spoiled brat because of dad all the money and stuff like that. So you got to take that kind of out of it. And I like what he did. I like some of the choices he made, and I understand he went for real smart, real arrogant, but kind of not all the way there. Like he definitely is off his rocker a little bit. And oh my bad, no spoilers always. I'm just general stuff. I never did say at the top, but no spoilers. But so I like that. But at the times he definitely went over the top, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm like I'm 50-50 with it. I can deal with it basically, and I'm pretty and I'm no, I can't say that because it'll be a spoiler. So that's how I feel about Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I'm kind of in the middle with it. And Superman, I love Man of Steel. I like Henry Cavill as a Superman. To me, I mean, I know everybody loves, the old man Superman, Christopher Reeves, but I like the more modern Superman. I like to take on him now instead of him being a goody two shoes, perfect guy. I like the flawed Superman who's trying to be good, and Henry Cavill did a good job with that as he did in Man of Steel. And I need definitely to say that before I even get to my negatives and positives. I'm a big fan of Man of Steel. I'm a big fan of Zack Snyder. I've been championing this movie since before it came out, since 3 years has been started. So I've been looking forward to it. It was on number 5 on my anticipated list. But let's get to my negatives. My biggest negative of this movie is the story and partially some of the dialogue. The story it kind of made the mistake that a lot of big blockbusters are making when they want to create the universes. There's doing a lot of setup. uh, which kind of it made them do stuff they didn't have to do. Like there was so much jam packed in them. I've only seen the movie once right now. I'm gonna see it again. I think Saturday. But there's so much going on, so much they're throwing in there that it seems convoluted. Like some of the small stories and little plots, side plots didn't need to happen. It really was like you could have cut that out. I mean, and you could have put something else in. And that's another reason I think issue I had is the movie technically it runs at about 2.5 hours, but Zack Snyder's cut is supposed to be about 3 hours, and that's going to be on the DVD cut. And you kind of can tell that they cut they you could see that they were cutting stuff out, and them doing that messed it up a little bit. The editing wise and stuff didn't make sense at times, and it seemed rushed. And I think that has to do with them editing it down. I mean, we won't know until we get the DVD version of Zack Snyder's director's cut. But just going off of that's my me guessing. I don't really know, but that's I think what happened. So we'll see when the DVD comes out. But another negative is the motivation of the characters. Batman, he had clear motivation. And that might be why I like him so much. The way they portrayed Batman and set him up in the movie was perfect. I think all that was good. I have no issues. Well, like, why is he against Superman, or why would he want to fight this guy? It's the way our world is. He ain't all good, and with that kind of destruction, it's his fault. So they definitely did Batman's well, and Superman's was decent. Like I was able to deal, but at the same time, it had a lot of holes in it to where like I understand you're making a decision, but you could have did this, and it was weird. And like even Lex Luthor's and stuff, their motivation didn't make as much sense as it could, especially the way Batman and Superman, why they fight is they could have made better decisions. Let's put it that way. It was weaker than it should have been. Um, the movie's called Batman v Superman, so this is the reason why we're here. This is what we want to see. I understand it's called Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, but we came to see Batman versus Superman. We came to see these two juggernauts fight. And just in case you guys are wondering, Batman and Superman do fight in the comics. So just so you know that. So it's not impossible. I know a lot of people like Superman's too powerful. What can Batman do? It's called kryptonite. That's all you need is kryptonite, and that'll make it work. But anyway, that fight, as good as it was too short. It should have been if your title of the movie is called Batman versus Superman or Batman v Superman, they should have a crazy long fight. Granted, it was a good fight and it was a crazy fight, but it should have been a nice long fight and where I can just stuff my face in who's going to win, back and forth, whichever. But it was just too short. It was good, but it was just too short. And my final complaint, which it's not the movie's fault, it's the marketing. And I mean, if you saw all the trailers like I did, the one trailer that was real bad where they revealed Doomsday, like it's not a spoiler anymore because they put it in. And I mean, I even looked up the plot online. I didn't put that in me explaining the plot, but they even put that Doomsday is in there in the plot. And because of that trailer and all the marketing, you see too much. There's parts in the movie where I'm like, oh, where's this part happen? Like this part should be coming up soon, or we're this late in the movie, so I know this is gonna happen in a minute, or I know this can't happen because this hasn't happened yet. Like I was able to put that stuff together, and you never want that in a movie. I mean, just showing too much. But let's get off of that. Let's get off my negatives. My negatives seem kind of long, and I don't want you guys to think I dislike this movie, but I did have a lot more issues with it than I wanted to. But let's get to my positives. So one of them, I mean, I said it all in at the beginning with how I felt about Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, and stuff. So my biggest positive is Ben Affleck. This guy is Batman. He's not doing a stupid voice like Christian Bale where he's poor to me. He's not doing that crap. He's using a voice modulator. And if people don't like that, it's like it's a voice modulator. It's just a change. It's not him doing it and yelling when he's trying to be stealthy and all that kind of crap. That's why personally I didn't like Christian Bale as Batman. I'd rather Michael Keaton as Batman. But now I like Ben Affleck's Batman. And because of Affleck and what he did as Ben Affleck and Bruce Wayne, because that's the hard part is being able to play both of these characters because they're so different. One's a play, even though they're the same person. One's got the persona of a playboy. One's got the persona of a vigilante Batman. And I think he did both of them great, and that makes me excited for the solo Batman films. And I'm hoping Ben Affleck is the one that actually directs it because his dialogue is the best in the movie, and he rewrote some of his dialogue to, being the director guy that he is, he was tinkering with it to say, hey, this might be better. So that gives me a lot of hope for that, and I'm excited for that. So that being one of my biggest positives is that and you saw one of the trailers where he's beating people up and all that stuff. I liked it. Some people aren't gonna like how violent Batman is because he's not. I won't say he's not true to Batman, but he breaks some rules that Batman normally doesn't break in the comics. So just like what happened to Man of Steel, people didn't like that. I'm all for it because we're in the real world. It makes sense, and if you have a reason for it, that makes sense. I mean, like to break your rules, it makes sense. The next one is the action and visuals. It's Zack Snyder, got the 300 and Watchmen and and Man of Steel or whatnot. His visuals, his actions on point. It's Zack Snyder. It's what you expect from that guy. So that was all good. I'm not trying to downplay it, but that's what I expected. There's no doubt in my mind that was gonna happen and that was gonna be fine. Excuse me. And the last thing that I'm gonna talk because I'm going a little longer than not longer than I wanted to, but anyway, the last thing I'm gonna say for positive is the movie definitely made me excited for the Justice League and the DC universe coming up. Whether it be Batman, Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, any of the characters, it made me excited for this universe because it's as big of a fan as I am to Marvel. DC's doing something different, and it's a good difference. It's a more serious tone, and I'm excited to see what they do with these characters. With that being said, the last the last thing I'm gonna say about whether it's positive or negative, this thing is kind of both because they took a risk in the movie, and when I saw the risk they took, I really was like, oh crap, this is ballsy that they're doing this. And when I thought about it, I was like, I started to like it, just not of it being ballsy, but it made sense to me. And I'm like, okay, I can go with this. This makes sense. It fixes an issue that I think they're gonna have going forward. And then they kind of threw it out the window. They like reneged on it. They were like, "Oh, we're just kidding," blah blah blah. And I was like, "You guys suck." For that, like that made the risk they take just stupid and pointless. And that sadly, that was one of my main negatives in the movie is that they do some stuff that they didn't need to do. There's some things they don't need to do, and they did it. But that's all for that. So let's get to my score. And this hurts me because I wanted this movie to be a 9, a 10. I wanted to be walking out raving saying, everybody go see this movie right now. Or I wanted to be like where I was in, whether it be matter of fact, Man of Steel is the perfect thing to say. Granted, I know a lot of critics didn't like Man of Steel. I think it's like 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. But I wanted to come out and be like, I don't know what critics are talking about. They're crazy. The movie's great. Tell everybody to see it. But for this, critics are actually destroying this movie more than Man of Steel, and I wouldn't so far as give it a negative score. I actually give it a 7. The only issue is I'm disappointed because this movie's potential, it should have been better. And it could have been better if they'd have just made some changes and not try to overfill it. It's like you stuff in your suitcase and you got to sit on it to close it, and you finally close it, but when you open it later, everything's going to go everywhere. It's frustrating. And just looking at the slate we have of superhero movies, and like I said, it sounds like I'm going hard on it and I'm being tough on it, but I gave it a 7, which is positive. If I was a critic on Rotten Tomatoes, that the critic rating will be going up. It won't be going up much, but it'll be going up because I gave it a positive rating. But I can't, and I definitely would tell people to go see it. But I feel like I got to give a caveat, like, oh yeah, it was good. You should go see it, but you might not love it. It's definitely gonna be one of those movies where some people are gonna love it, some people are gonna hate it, and some people are gonna fall sort of in the middle, or in the middle but positive, or in the middle. Like you never know. This is not a definite bad movie or good movie. It's in the middle, and that's the part that sucks. Where this should have been a great movie, and I know we're definitely gonna with the war of Captain America: Civil War and Batman v Superman. We know it's gonna win at the box office this year because I'm no doubt in my mind Civil War is gonna be great. So. Anywho, that's all I got for you guys today. Please make sure to click that like button on YouTube. And if you can't click the like button because you're not on YouTube, watching on Facebook, make sure to share the video so you can get more people to see it. Also, subscribe to my channel at Talking Movies with D at YouTube. I don't know why I said that. Yeah, slash YouTube, Talking Movies with D, slash YouTube, whatever. Also, make sure you can follow me on all social media at dwood2324, where we can keep the conversation going about movies. You can talk to them about other stuff. But I mean, I'm on there talking about, a little bit of everything. If you want to just have a good conversation, converse with me, I don't mind. So that's all I got for you guys. Deuces, and I'm out.